Hello and namaskar everyone. Would like to welcome you all to the platform of IAS Origin. We all know that UPSC Prelims 2025 examination is over, and like every year we have seen substantial questions coming from the portion of history which includes ancient, medieval, modern and art and culture. So we had roughly 16 questions coming from this particular portion, and in this very session I'm not just going to tell you the answers of those questions because I'm sure you have seen multiple keys which are already there in the market. What is important is that we'll see how do we approach those questions. That's one thing. Secondly, we'll also see that how exactly do we analyze that particular topic whenever we are studying that very topic, and have we covered that in the class or not. I'll also be telling you about that. So this video can be treated as, or it can be considered as, a detailed analysis and solution of various components. I'm starting with the history and I'll be coming up with economy and other components as well in the due course. So talking of the component history, what we have observed is that from modern Indian history, we have seen a good number of questions coming. That is 8 questions were from modern Indian history. On the other hand, if I combine art and culture, ancient, medieval, so we have got around 8 questions. So in total, if we see, we have got 16 questions coming from history. Easy. In fact, if I tell you, amongst ancient, medieval also, it was ancient history which was dominating. So we have seen substantial questions coming from ancient history, modern history, and art and culture could also be derived from the ancient history part only. You'll see in this very session. So make sure you watch till the end, and if you're new to the platform of IAS Origin, make sure you all subscribe to the channel. Without further ado, let's start this very session. Now, there was a question which was based on who among the following rulers is known as Mattavilasa, Vichitrachitta and Gunabhra. Before I answer this question, I would like to tell you that mainly in the ancient component of Indian history, you always have to focus on various titles bestowed on various rulers. For example, when we talk about Vikramaditya, it's a title used by a prominent Gupta ruler, Chandragupta II. So it becomes very, very important. Though when we talk about the South Indian history, Pallavas and Cholas, here also we have got, titles given to various rulers. Like Raj Simha is a very important title for Narasimhavarman too. Similarly, these titles have been used by or assumed by Mahendravarman I, who was a Pallava. He was a Pallav ruler, gave good emphasis on the rock cut architecture also. I would say laid the foundation stone of Dravida architecture which we have in the South India. So Vichitrachitta basically means unique thoughts, or even weird thoughts also some people say. So that is why he is known as Vichitrachitta. This is the most important title of Mahendravarman I. Of course, Mattavilas and Gunabhra are also important ones, but the most important title we have got is this particular title only. So we are supposed to be understanding this point very much precisely. Clear, Raji? Now, why do we have to know about these things? Because in the past years also we have seen that such questions have been asked from the component of ancient history. For example, they'll ask you who is known as Indian Napoleon. So Samudragupta is known as Indian Napoleon, as said by the Vincent Smith. So we have to know important rulers titles which can be asked directly in the questions which are coming from the ancient Indian history part. Okay, without uh, further ado, I'll be moving ahead. I just want to tell you, in the classes also we did discuss this particular, this is snippet from the class PDF only. Like Mahendravarman, Vichitrachitta was the title, and he came up with the rock cut architecture also. No joints were there. So basically, rock cut architecture mein he has got he had a great interest, and he has given so much contribution in this particular aspect. Moving ahead, now let's talk about the next one which came. There was a question on irrigation device known as Arghat. So Arghat, which we have seen in the Indian history, what exactly is Arghat all about? So I would like to show you a picture which will make your task very much easy in order to understand that. So you can have a look over there, the Persian wheel as we call it. So Arghat is a very large wheel with earthen pot tied to the outer end of its spoke. So I'm sure you understand it's a large wheel, and we have got various earthen pots tied to its end of spokes. This is what we certainly can see. This is certainly Arghat. So nothing much about it. And whenever such questions come, let me tell you one thing. Irrigation has always been very much important when we talk about the agriculture, and in that context, it actually is very much important. So you just need to understand that this word, matlab, you don't need to go into the nitty-gritties of it, but just to tell you that when we talk about the arghat, it's a blend of two words, ara, and ghat. So basically, here when we talk about this particular thing, it is relating to the pot only. So ara basically is togged. It basically means togged, and ghata basically means the pot. So here arghat mein that pot becomes very much important. So you just need to understand this thing also, that even if you are knowing the meaning of it, you know that we have got various pots, and in the options if you see, this is very much relating that, this is relating that, but again you can eliminate that. And moreover, if you see closely, B is the most appropriate answer. Clear hai ji? Chaliye, moving ahead. Now this was the easier one. Everybody knows that Fahim Fazian, Chinese traveler, came to India during the reign of Guptas. But here all the rulers are Gupta. So which Gupta? Vikramaditya. Chandragupta II is the ruler. So again B is the right answer. So again, matlab there is this question is easy to moderate level only. So it's a simple factual question which you need to be understanding. Hanji, hanji. Clear hai ji? So I am hopeful that such questions are very much easy. For example, in the past years we have seen that they have asked about the Huin Sang. So people do get confused when we talk about Huin Sang, So Huin Sang, he came during the reign of Harsha. That was 7th century. So you can have question on Itzing, Huin Sang, Fahim, like they have already asked, and some other travelers have also visited India. Like you see, various travelers who have come to India during the time of Vijayanagar Empire and Bahmani Empire. Like from Russia, we have seen Nikitin coming, then Domingo Pace. So many travelers have come up from European side to India. So we should know from which country they came, and secondly, we should know during which ruler's time they came. So for upcoming examinations, you should be very much clear about this particular aspect, that how do we decode this particular thing precisely. Clear, Raji? Okay. Moving ahead. So this was done. Moving ahead. I just want to tell you, like in the classes also we have discussed this thing, Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya, he had 9 scholars like Navaratnas, and Fahim, that Fazian, has also visited in his court. So this is a very important point we need to understand. Got it? Okay. Then we had a question that who among the following led a successful military campaign against the kingdom of Srivijaya, the powerful maritime state which ruled the Malay Peninsula, Sumatra, Java, and the neighboring islands. Now, again, we have observed this particular year that much emphasis has been laid on the South Indian history. Like even if you are talking about the Pallavas or the Cholas, they have ruled over South India. So Pallavas were there and then they were followed by the Cholas. So this is a pure and simple question on the Cholas. So here, even if you are knowing this particular thing, that Cholas had a very powerful navy. Okay, navy of the Cholas was well known, especially when we talk about Rajendra Chola. So of course, Rajendra Chol or Rajendra Chola is the right answer. So C is going to be the right answer. So even if you have thoroughly followed the NCRTs also, then also you are in a position to answer this question. Let me tell you one thing. So it's as simple as that. So when we talk about Rajendra Chola, one, so he was also called Rajendra the Great. Okay, so Gangai called Chola, the same person only, and he has ruled around 1014 to 1044 around that time. So you just need to know that he has ruled in 11th century AD. 11th century AD. Even if you don't know the exact time period, that is fine. Rough bhi pata, that is already, that's all good. So he had a great navy, and that is why, so he was involved in that various campaigns, including his army and the navy. So naval campaigns are very much famous, and that is why he was able to launch that campaign against the kingdom of Srivijaya in the Southeast Asia. So when we talk about the Indonesia or southern part of Thailand, that particular area, so that is important, of course, in the Southeast Asia. So he has also, maintained and improved the commercial relation with various countries in that particular area. So this is something we have to understand. So a very important ruler he is, and moreover we have to understand that this campaign is already very much prominent. So this is not a concept which is obscure. This is a very well known concept which we have to understand. Okay. Moving ahead, next question से पहले ये देख लेते हैं. Like in the class, we have already discussed this here. Rajendra Chola, he captured Srivijaya, with his navy. You can have a look. This is something already discussed in the class. So he was also known as Gangai Konda Cholan. Got it? So this is the time period. So basically, I just want to tell you that these are the prominent things which have already been discussed in the class, because there is a high chance they will be asked in the examination. That's why we have discussed these things in the classes. Got it? Moving ahead, there was a question on Mahajanapadas. So when we talk about the, Mahajanapadas, we have got 16 Mahajanapadas, second urbanization as we call it. So amongst those 16, we have Asmaka, Kamboja, Avanti, Kushala. So this question basically is not just about the rivers, it's about the location of these Mahajanapadas. So for example, if somebody knows that Kamboja is on the side of Afghanistan. So Afghanistan ki side, so Vipasa is what? Beas Nadi. So Beas, if you see, Himachal and Punjab area, so it's not Afghanistan area. So this is totally incorrect. Similarly, if you talk about Avanti and the side of Madhya Pradesh, Mahanadi, Odisha. So even if you know that, this is incorrect. So both are incorrect. But Kusala Saryu is correct, and Asmaka is Godavari because it is south of Vindhyas. So that if you know that ways, that which Mahajanpad is south of Vindhyas, it is Asmaka, and Kusala Saryu, if you know, then absolutely you know that only two are correctly matched. So this was the question, that how many of them are correctly matched. So this question was a bit tricky, I know that, but I'm sure with a basic understanding you could have answered this question, and that is how it is. So even in the class also, I've always emphasized that you should know the 16 Mahajanpadas, at least their capitals, you should have a basic idea. Secondly, you should know that in which region are they lying. Because if you know in which region are they lying, then you can connect it with the rivers. In fact, this question is amalgamation of history and geography, because they are asking you about the location of the Mahajanapadas along with the rivers. So that is the point you got to keep in your minds. So in the classes, we have discussed this thing, like Koshala is here, here is Kamboja. So you can see, here is Kamboja. So you can't have Byas here. So Avanti, Ujjaini, Maheshpati, this area. So Mahanadi is here. So it can't be this. Asmaka, Godavari, you can say that. So even if you have a basic idea about the second urbanization aspect, you would be able to answer this question. I'm not saying these are very easy questions, but I'll certainly say that you can tackle these kind of questions if you have done a decent bit of hard work. Okay. We all know about the Ashoka, Mauryas, Mauryan bureaucracy. They had various rulers like Pradeshika, Rajuka, and Yukta. They are the important rulers. So at which level were they operating? That's the question, like village level, district level, provincial level, or level of central administration. So let me tell you that they were operating at the district level administration. Now, I know from Pradesh people think that maybe provincial level hoga, but certainly not, because it's a factual question, I would say. So you just have to understand that here Pradeshika is relating to the district level, all the officers. Amongst those, we have got this particular officer also. I'll just try to show you in the classes. We have discussed this particular thing. You can see that, Pradeshika is the district administrator. This is very much clear. So this has been discussed in the class itself again. So I'm very much sure that, from this very clarity, you are at least now in a position to know that, you could have tackled these questions if you have had, revised these things thoroughly. And even if you go through the NCRTs also, you will find such things. So, Pradeshika, you should know that district level pe he was operating. So that's why it is B, which is the right answer, Pradeshika. And similarly, Rajuka and Yuktas also, they are operating at the district level. Very much important this is. Okay. So overall in charge is Pradeshika, of course. And the Yukta is basically a junior officer. like secretarial kind of assistants, you can say. Secretariat जैसे होते हैं वहाँ पे बैठते हैं, it's kind of that. So they are certainly very much important officers which we see at the district level. So I'm hopeful about one thing, that now you know that how do you prepare for history. So history is not just a subject that you keep on cramming. It is a subject you understand the requirement of the examination, then you study. Because if you don't understand the requirement and then you study, it is not going to yield any positive result, as simple as that. So you have to know that what examination is requiring. Got it? Now, this was a question which was, I would say, tougher side pe question, a very tough fact that, first Gandharva Mahavidyalaya music training school was set up in which city? So it was Lahore. But I would certainly say one thing, that it was a tough question. There are some questions out of 100 GS questions which you have to leave. And I would say this was one such question, because most of the people had no idea about the question. So even if you have, not solve this, or even if you have left this question, that is absolutely okay, because you can't end up solving, or you can't end up attempting all the questions. So it is fine if you are not in a position to solve this very question. That is absolutely okay. Clear, Aji? And moreover, when we talk about this very uh, person actually who is there in the question, let me tell you. So Vishnu Paluskar. So why is he so much important? I'll tell you one thing. He was a Hindustani musician, classical musician he was, and he sang the original version of bhajan, Raghupati Raghav Rajaram. Gandhiji was very deeply connected with that. So this is actually a very important fact which you should know about him. And the first Gandharv Mahavidyalaya was established by him at Lahore. So of course there's a very long connection, but that's how it is. And let me tell you one thing. So since this school has been associated by Shri Vishnu, Paluskar ke saath associated, that's why this question is very much important in that context. But again, I know most of people don't know about these things, so that is absolutely fine. Okay, moving ahead. Now, this was the easiest question, I would say, from the history part. The famous female figurine known as Dancing Girl, found at Mohenjo-daro, is made up of dash. So it is made up of bronze. Okay, the bronze. In fact, there is a method known as lost wax method. So in the class we discussed that. So it is made up of bronze, the dancing girl found at Mohenjo-daro, that is Indus Valley civilization. Lost wax technique was used in order to make that. So this is a very easy question, I would say. In every NCRT, be it old NCRT, be it new NCRT, be it any book of history, you'll certainly find this question. So that is not a rocket science to solve that. Okay, so now these 8 MCQs of modern Indian history we certainly will be looking at. Okay, so we have seen the ancient, medieval, and art and culture, because I put that question, the art and culture only, this dancing girl and this Vishnu Puruskar wala question. So let's focus on this aspect now. When we focus on the Raja Ram Mohan Roy, okay, so there are 2 statements about Raja Ram Mohan Roy, known as the father of Indian Renaissance, Raja Ram Mohan Roy. So we just have to answer this question by reading the statements and knowing that what exactly is statement saying. So when we read about it, what exactly do we understand? Let me tell you. It's saying that he possessed great love and respect for the traditional philosophical systems of the East. Then he's saying he desired his countrymen to accept the rational and scientific approach. Got it? Second statement seems very much correct, sir. But what about the first one? So let me tell you one thing, that it is absolutely correct. He had deep love for his people, for the Indian people, of course. And that is why he used to criticize the wrong things which were being, done in the society, like Sati Pratha. He was against the Sati Pratha. So you have to understand that he certainly possessed great love and respect for the traditional philosophical systems of the East, that is India. So you got to understand this thing, that he was not, we can't say that he did not love the system of the East. It was just that he was against the wrongdoings. So this is absolutely correct. And he desired his countrymen to accept a rational and scientific approach. That's correct as well. So we'll go with C as the right answer. Both are absolutely correct. Getting it? So in such questions, you have to just take a broad overview and then you have to answer that. So this is how it is. So C is going to be the right answer. In the class, we did discuss about his approach, how he is the father of Indian Renaissance, Indian reawakening. He was instrumental in the abolition of sati in India, and he was from Bengal. Very important. This is okay. Now, moving ahead, let's focus on this very question, very important question. This is rather. So, when I talk about this very question, this is related to the non-cooperation movement. Okay. So, talking of the non-cooperation movement, which is something very, very important when we talk about the freedom struggle of India. So, we got to understand these statements, like what all was a part of the non-cooperation ka program. When I say non-cooperation ka program, you have to be very much clear about one thing, that non-cooperation program was a part of non-cooperation movement. We all know that, in 1920 it basically started. Got it? So we always talk about the boycott of the law court and the foreign clothes. Yeah, certainly that is correct. There was strict non-violence. Yes, this is correct. That's why in Chauri Chaura it was suspended. Now it is saying retention of the titles and the honors. No, they were not retaining the titles. They were renouncing. They were denouncing them. They were, giving them back to the British. This statement is totally incorrect. Now we know two statements are correct. Either only two statements will be the answer, or three will be the answer. It depends on this statement. So now when we talk about panchayats, now one thing that they had said about a clear aspect, that we are going to boycott the British courts, English courts. And at the same time, we will have national schools, national colleges, even private panchayats court will be established. Why? In order to solve the disputes. This is what was said. Kashi Vidyapeeth, Bihar Vidyapeeth, Jamia Millia Islamia, they were all established. So when we talk about fourth statement, certainly we will consider it as correct, because they were talking about these things. So I will go with C as the right answer, because except for this statement, all the other statements seem to be correct. So that's why we are going to go with this. So remember this thing, that in 1920, that Nagpur session of Congress is very much instrumental. Okay, so when it was launched, we had a proper non-cooperation program. So yeah, we have to understand that here C is the right answer, because this statement is totally incorrect. Clear? So I know a lot of students were confused about that fourth statement about the panchayats, but yeah, they were talking about this thing, so it's a part of the non-cooperation program. Moving ahead, now we talk about, again, there's a question of non-cooperation movement. Now you can understand a very simple aspect over here, because again, when we are talking of non-cooperation movement, in itself it has been a great movement, no doubt about that. So talking of this thing, we all know that at the Nagpur, Nagpur session, as I've told you, they had adopted this resolution on NCM. And ultimately, you have to understand one thing, that they declared attainment of Swaraj by all legitimate and the peaceful mean to be its objective. This is certainly correct. And when we talk about it, was to be implemented in the stages with civil disobedience and non-payment taxes for the next stage. Now, when I talk about the program of the NCM, they certainly said that if within 1 year Swaraj was not achieved, or if the government resorted to repression, then the civil disobedience will be, a target, or they may focus on that. So this is a very important point we have to understand. So now the most important idea is that whenever we talk about this particular aspect, they went too deep into that, and the government resorted to repression and all that. But still, going on the broad overview of this, I'll consider this as the correct one. मैं इसको सही मानूंगा. So we can say, both statements are absolutely correct. So C is the right answer. So this is actually an important aspect we are supposed to be understanding. Clear? So I hope this idea is clear. So they did think about this thing. UPSC may, go with A as well, yahan pe. But still, uh, you know, overall, it seems that C is the right answer, because it was to be implemented in the stages with civil disobedience and non-payment taxes for the next stage. So they did think about that. Next one is very much interesting. The sedition has become my religion. Now, who said that? It was Gandhi ji who said that. And when will you say that? Sedition ki jab baat karoge, that you are breaking laws and you're deliberately doing that, only then you are going to be saying that. So we all know that, Dandi March, the famous Dandi March, we started from the Sabarmati Ashram on 12th of March 1930, and Gandhiji with its 78 chosen followers, he went around 375 kilometers to the coastal area, that was Dandi, and he reached there on 6th of April. On 6th of April, he picked up the salt, and then only he is saying this particular thing. So we have to, connect the dots here. It is very important that we connect the dots, and he said that, like, that the British rule in India has brought about the moral material or the cultural uh, like ruination of the country, and I regard this rule as a curse. I ought to destroy this system of the government, and sedition has become my religion. It was a long speech. So that's why we should know that publicly violating the salt law around 6th of April 1930 is the time when Mahatma Gandhi is saying about this particular thing. So this was a long speech. It is a part of that particular speech. So it's just not a statement as such. And he also emphasized that our battle is a non-violent battle. We are not to kill anybody, but it's a dharma to see what the curse of this government is blotted out. So ultimately, they did talk about removing the British rule, but they did not talk about going for the violence. That's one aspect we got to understand. And overall, since it's a part of the speech, so we have to be understanding this point precisely. Okay, moving ahead. ठीक है जी. So, who provided the legal defense to the people arrested in the Chauri Chaura? So, firstly, we have to understand one thing, that what exactly is happening at the Chauri Chaura. What happened at the Chauri Chaura rather? In 1920, what we have observed, 1920 में क्या हुआ? 1920 में we have seen that NCM started, है ना? So, when in 1920 non-cooperation movement starts, it went on fine. So till February 1922, everything was going fine. But what exactly happened back then? Now that's a very important thing. So we got to understand that, there was a police station in the Chauri Chaura near Gorakhpur in UP. It was burned with the policemen who were there inside. And let me tell you one thing, that, Madan Mohan Malviya Sahab, he had quit his practice back in during the time of NCM, but he rejoined the practice just to make sure that there's a fair trial for the people who were involved in this, or who were named in that FIR or charge sheet. So they were like around more than 200 people who were brought to the trial at the Gorakhpur Sessions Court, and they had this charges of rioting and arson. Arson समझ तो जिंदा जला देना, like all that. So anyways, so you would be amazed to know that he managed to get around 150 or 153 people acquitted in that particular case. So it was a great achievement of Madan Mohan Malviya and Krishna Kant. So B is certainly the right answer. So this is important, that in the Chauri Chaura incident, which took place in the March of 1922, this particular thing is taking place, and he is able to get a lot of people acquitted. So this is a very important aspect. In fact, Chauri Chaura is important. Why? Because when we talk about the Chauri Chaura, we just have to understand that it was because Chauri Chaura NCM was suspended because Gandhi said that people are resorting to violence. This means they are tired. So in the first week of February, only Chauri Chaura is happening, and then later on Gandhiji has suspended the NCM. So this is an important point. Around 4th of February, this incident took place, and then things unfolded in the March and April and like that. So Gandhiji was also jailed after that. So this is important, that Madan Mohan Malviya played a very important role in this legal defense aspect. Okay. Now on similar lines, like if you talk about later on in INA trials, 1945 around. So INA trials, maybe you can get a question that who was the part of the INA trial, the defense team. So there was a proper INA defense committee which was established by the Congress to help the prisoners, or to help the people who were going for the court martial. So that also is an important topic on this similar lines. So you certainly can get some questions on these lines at times. So you have to be very much clear in this aspect, that how do we answer these points precisely. Okay, moving ahead. Subsequent to which of the following event Gandhiji consistently opposed untouchability and appeal for its eradication and upliftment of the Harijans? Okay, now here in the question, the key word I would say is Harijan. Harijan is the key word. Why? Because initially there were words like, depressed classes, backward, and untouchables. These were used for certain people. But then Gandhiji said that now we will be referring them as Harijans, or the children of God. So this term was very much popularized after this Pune Pact of 1932. Around September 1932, this Pune Pact was signed by Gandhiji and with B.R. Ambedkar. Why? Because initially in August, MacDonald, the British Prime Minister, he came up with the MacDonald Award. Now, this award was what? This was about providing the depressed classes with separate electorates. Now, why separate electorates bad? Because it is not just reservation. In the separate electorates, the seats are reserved, that's one thing. But even the electorate, the people who are going to vote, they will also be voting only if they belong to that particular category of the person who is contesting the election. So if a depressed class is contesting election, only people from the depressed class will vote, no other people get to vote. So that is the biggest problem. So Gandhiji was against that separate electorate ka concept, and that's why after the Pune Pact of September 1932, we have seen that Gandhiji is consistently focusing on this particular aspect. In fact, you must have heard about, Gandhiji's journals also. He had various journals. So it was also known as Harijan. It was a weekly, like a weekly newspaper. So he started that, and on top of that, he also had an organization, and he renamed it as Harijan Sevak Sangh. So Harijan Sevak Sangh, he is focusing upon Harijan Weekly. He had, so this name, this term was very much popularized by Gandhiji, because he said that we should not call them depressed classes or untouchables or suppressed classes. We should refer to these people as Harijans. This is the important point we have to focus upon. Okay, done. Now, there's a very interesting question about, various, when we talk about fruits which came to India. So, when we talk about a new world and the old world concept, so this Americas, it was referred to as new world because it was discovered, newly. And when we talk about these Portuguese coming to India in 16th, 17th century, they were in India. So they brought to India like papaya, pineapple, guava. It is mainly the fruits coming from the new world to the old world. So all the three are absolutely correct, because yes, certainly they were brought to India by the Portuguese. So not only these, there were some other fruits also, like chilies. When we talk about even potato, tomato, all these have been brought by them. So this is very much important. In fact, it is said that, Abul Fazl, when we talk about Aine Akbari, Akbar ki wo jo book hai. So Abul Fazl, when we talk about, so pineapples are called Katalhe Safari, or jackfruit, they have referred to that. So this is actually a very important point. So what we need to understand is that Abul Fazl in 1590s, in the last decade of the 16th century, he is writing that. So this is very much important. Papaya is also brought to India by them, and in fact, you got to understand this thing, that in the area of Daman and Diu and all, they had, papaya, the Portuguese, because that area was under their control. So this is actually a very important point we need to understand. So anyways, I hope this idea is very much clear to you guys, that these are the fruits of the new world brought to the old world by the Portuguese. So there are many other as well. So these are the prominent ones which has been asked by the UPSC. Now, there was a very easy question about the self-respect movement. So when we talk about the self-respect movement, you have to be understanding one thing, that it was Periyar, Naikar Sahab. So we have to understand that this is again a easiest question, because this particular movement, I would say, it was a radical social, reform movement, and especially in the Tamil Nadu area in the South India, we had that. And when we talk about E.V. Ramaswamy Periyar, he's also known as the father of the Dravidian movement also. So that's actually very important, because he was a vocal critic of the caste system and, Brahminical dominance, and he advocated for the rights of the non-Brahmins also, especially women's also. He is advocating for that. So self-respect movement in the 1920s is very much important. In the 1925, so it was very much prominent over there. So that is why you have to know about that. It is not only from the prelims or mains point of view, say it is important. Let me tell you one thing. Mains point of view, say this is certainly a very important one we have to be looking at. Clear? So I hope this idea is clear to you guys, and that's very much it from my side. I am hopeful that you have gained immensely from the session. In case by chance you guys have any doubt, you surely can let me know. In the comment section you can leave your doubts if there is any, so that I'll be in a position to clarify that. And you can scan this QR code, or you can simply search for this particular Telegram channel, that is IAS Origin. So I'll be posting the PDF also there. So this is the QR code, as you can see, and you can search IAS Origin UPSC. This is our Telegram channel. You should join that, because we post all the sessions updates, or all the links of the sessions you can find over there. Moreover, I would like to tell you that on every Sunday from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. we also have a free workshop for you. And this free workshop is very much instrumental in helping you prepare for the UPSC examinations. You should not miss out on that. Make sure you join this workshop as well every Sunday. You can find the link in the description as well. And that's very much it from my side. That's me, Akash and Dev, signing off. I hope you have a great day. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.